You've been working harder every year, and somehow you feel further behind. Somewhere underneath all of it, there is a quiet unease that effort alone has never been able to touch. There was a student named Riku who trained harder than anyone else at his school. He arrived before the others. He stayed long after they left. He repeated the same forms hundreds of times while his peers rested. His teacher watched him for months and said nothing. One afternoon, the teacher called Riku aside. He asked one question. "Where are you going?" Riku didn't understand. He gestured toward the training hall. He was here every day. He was the first one in. The teacher nodded slowly. "I see you moving. I do not see you walking anywhere." Riku returned the next morning and stood before his forms. He breathed. He began. The movements were clean, precise. He executed each one correctly. When he finished, he stood still. Something was wrong. He could not name it. He added another hour, then another. He left at dusk more confused than when he had arrived. He came back the next day, and the day after that. Each morning, he arrived earlier. Each session, he pushed further. He added techniques he had not practiced in years. He filled every hour he could find. The hollow feeling did not leave. He had thought the problem was effort. He had given more effort than he had ever given. Nothing had changed. In the weeks that followed, Riku began to ask a different kind of question. Not how should I train, but why am I here? Not what should I add, but what do I actually want to build? His forms became simpler. His hours became fewer. He stopped filling time and started choosing it. One afternoon, a fellow student passed him in the corridor and stopped. "You are training less," the student said. "Are you giving up?" Riku had no answer. He wasn't sure himself. That night, he sat with the question. Not the student's question, the teacher's. The one that had been waiting beneath every session since the afternoon he couldn't answer it. "Where are you going?" For the first time, something shifted. Not an answer. Just the beginning of one. The following week, his teacher came to watch him train. Riku moved through his forms. He did not perform. He did not demonstrate discipline. He moved the way someone moves when they know why they are moving. The same movement. A different man. The teacher stood in silence for a long time. Then he walked over and placed one hand briefly on Riku's shoulder. Then he kept walking. Riku understood. The question had finally been answered. Not in words, but in the quality of what the teacher had just witnessed. The samurai called this Michi, the way. The literal translation is path or road. But for the samurai, Michi was never a direction on a map. It was the question that lives beneath every action. Not what am I doing, but what is this for? Michi does not begin with effort. It begins with stillness. With the honesty to sit with a question most people spend years outrunning. A warrior without Michi is not undisciplined. He is lost at high speed. You are not lazy. You have been showing up for years. The evidence is your exhaustion. What you may not have done is sat still long enough to ask where all that effort is going. Michi is the prior question. The one that changes what every action means once you have answered it. One path walked with direction carries further than 10 paths walked with effort alone. 1. Tonight, sit for 5 minutes with this question. Not what should I do, but what am I actually building right now? Write down what arrives. 2. Look at where your hours went this week. Find one commitment that doesn't belong to the direction you just named. Release it or reduce it. 3. Choose one action in the next 24 hours that connects to what you wrote. Not a system. One step in a direction you chose honestly. What would your honest answer be right now if your teacher asked, "Where are you going?" Write it in the comments. Sometimes saying it once is how the direction becomes real. Thank you for being here. Somewhere, a training hall stood empty in the early light. On the floor, the marks of 1,000 repetitions. And outside, a path, finally walked.